I sent it out. You know when everyone has it, that's what I'm saying to go.
Mine's being locked.
Not letting it. Okay. Yep, so GQ's good, Jen. Okay, I'll start in 5 seconds. Advantage orders North Korea, 10,000 minutes are higher than they've ever been. Insurance is already found, but Diplomacy and National Relations warehousing. Fantastic orders for the top. And to agree orders that has been any second, just having good orders that says that I'm repeating those other orders, really has been national and agreed with the most unrunning this people, the capability of reaching the countries that are the response to the national ways. That is the orders that security assurance, the orders that says that the effective collaboration here and toward abortion. This needs to do with power versus which is orbit, the United States of the sources of which called and then the question is communication over which are cooperation with the possible like one of the same China West vertically more up to the US essentially control to which are the US West communications of the trade so union person like people with the US who come to war with the question of the country and season colonize the relationship of the West fight in the class of the negotiations ready to war and it's in war with the Assassin war with the videos of the war of the use turns out the record time of the sex like effective middle power leadership plus the Washington like central West Paris and 19 to order to have an Russia hackers to start the election China and West and the line I thought it's being more slow ordering trades out of the resolution with criminal West blood and the middle Russian Navy Aerospace in the country where they usually Russian Nazi usually the Russian people Russia the Happiness the North Republic brutal interest while the plan signals restrict readily and opens up to go for reciprocation shout 3rd 10 19 of the use a lot using the Republic of Sweden to into engagement of that possible research to go especially the for renewable church management will help accomplish the use of the Canada president who say maybe command the outcome is going to get the movie by you with the no to the use of the tax or not for somebody to go chemical or bioattack or the the use for sort of the nation members or Japan and issues and the overall some including insurance rates the license and powers as well running insurance back 24 with the over something facing infrastructure no capable to less further side of the direction global in child mobile but then the rest of the case of the day by all the for the less of the tendencies will go to know as the Washington use of the and as the consolidation bill to the things that also use of capital to resolve the episode of the problem I hope because there are a lot of punishment and lessons that we have to do to be better than that's to be able to improve you over the use as a weapon so the atomic total proposal is that is well exactly whatever those videos are about I have other solutions of the promotion of the conversation is for the increasing and that is all the for the mission publication the resolution also inclusion concentrated mechanism as problem as failure other than to assure the reducing other ones of the rules of the generation is if going straightforward and simply it's just like cooperated bigger and 23 just an open to the was 0 to 1 to 2018 to time to see it as one of the weapons of the video came down with this after implementing the language was because of the summer hand opportunity to know that because we don't know the use stuff with the central use of thinking about this luminous practical nature of the was everyone was on the central use as the word as according to both the public or say also all of the it was also the way for say for resource no losing with the way of the organization was just attack the of the massive universe made for the information is it's key energy security on it to do it the priority top energy security is our case the energy portable and the other section of the world of the trade cooperative restoration technology on the enhanced cooperation that's definitely stabilizes global markets like that's strong global military ties on it to energy to be realized it's under physical energy to make it especially problems of the university and nations are realized to be a world of people energy market based on global military ties energy security solves extinction holder Holstein and 20 regular sets of energy good having got more rhythm of the facility and more of the data science and biological ability to and more activity can determine global scale infrastructure on energy crisis when we're still regret external laziness will lash out for their churches to strengthen their grip on decision making mandatory to our rest but the confidence with the confidence with nobody has what's happening with watching the radio you have built up for you acquiring our own news good know that they will company to go over social media to remember this whole thing is weapons used for extracting the supposed to use to the line this is the weakness and current ability set to read outside the coalition if I go through if I just remember watching the relations with more than for about the whole about watching the relation will be not some of the relations with the analysis probably obviously will never present themselves press more ambitious in ammunition to see the government analyze and bring the original nothing the basic equation but unconventional mechanical people goes into terms of progressing to be strong return to less and feel we produce pollution that tries to attract from the Dawson 921 calls that is even the walking the world of the administration of the country in uniform and if it happens to information we're pleased so we're going to divide to the roads which are not in my kind of around storage and women in the government custom to high orders of the last possible it's going to change the problem given that there's an end of the leader of the last and we will close for the agreement so we will sorry and the capable of the first platform of the culture and mass and boys working on first use of the business of better lower and the implication for escalation there the fear of the public and the president of the constitutional escalation tower and hands from the government is a challenging constitution of the government of the public and so the eyes of the cost of making sure that actually avoid things of the sort of president of the leader the interior of the president so lose so around the right there but the culture of the government the law should be respected the sense that over and over and after these other summary normally is the lead to escalation work that called escalation plan the United States should not have a nuclear policy policy towards the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Continuing that card. It will be presented as a talk about the target leaders make challenging to signal. Wait,
okay, good.
Yep.
Is the plan operational?
Crazy.
Plan is like
really hear Kelly.
We should both unmute.
Okay, sorry, I forgot about that. Wait,
Oh, now I'll turn my volume down. Okay.
Okay.
Wait, okay, let's. Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Is the plan operational? The plan, or the alpha probably entail some operational changes.
What are they?
Our evidence, it's like mostly a declaratory component, but if war planners determine there are certain capabilities that we only have in
Such
North
as?
Korea, like our evidence doesn't list specific
Yeah,
examples.
but I'd
Like
like
it's
to know
mostly
them.
Well, we just said our evidence doesn't list
Alright.
specific examples.
Okay,
It's
but
for
I mean,
workers
you
who
just
use
said there are specific capabilities directed at
Okay,
North
so-
Korea. What
No,
are those?
if military planners determine that's the case, then those
Military
preemptive
planners
North Korean
determine that's-
capabilities
how do they determine
would
that?
be
What are the,
they
okay,
examine
what are the
the
nuclear
nuclear
capabilities
but,
in the
but
world?
seriously, like there's not really many things that the plan would change necessarily about like what's deployed or anything like that.
Okay, you just said some things are directed just at North Korea.
Right, so if the US were in the future to deploy certain weapons, particularly toward
Yeah.
the forces of North Korea, obviously that might work about that. Military planners would decide what those are.
Okay, interesting. So, in that case, and the plan is vastly, based on declaratory posture, why would North Korea think this is credible at all if they look at the US's arsenal and sees our ICBMs are on alert? We still have 4,400 ICBMs in the region, as well as like various other capabilities to launch.
Okay, first of all, we don't have 400 ICBMs in
No,
the
sorry,
region.
not in the region, but
First,
like
yes.
in general.
Second of all, it's just like the US's like posture, or everything that you've just listed is not one that directs our first use towards North Korea, right? Like
Okay,
all our
fine.
evidence.
The US SSBNs are in the ocean that could go by North Korea at any
SSBNs are
point,
secret
right?
second strike weapons. North Korea does not want the US
Also, the
second strike.
declaratory change key cards
So-
about North Korea are really good. Like it says
Why-
that they look for a credible signal from the US through a formal declaration that we won't use first.
Okay, why does North Korea why does North Korea think the US will first strike them down?
Because the US has, in its most recent NPR, one of the most sort of prominent first use posture that it has ever had. The US has repeatedly threatened fire and fury in the
how do
context
you
of North
reduce
Korea.
that prominent first use posture by saying,
Well,
okay,
now
like,
you're just going back to the
every-
previous question regarding the declaratory component of it.
Okay, then can you answer why do you get rid of that prominent posture if North Korea knows, like, the US still sees every other global country in the world with red, like Russia, China, the
We have
nukes are still gonna be there.
Very good cards that indicate that the declaratory component of the 1AC's NFP policy towards North Korea is one that's
The
critical.
other question I have is on South Korea. So if South Korea and the US, like if South Korea doubts the US's commitment, why is that a reason why they will not work with the US to stabilize energy prices?
Our
Like,
argument
this
is that the
something
Mount
that's-
evidence indicates that South Korea is dictated by zealots that use the plan's alliance and doubts in it to extract further concessions.
What does that have to do with energy prices?
It fissures the alliance, which prevents cooperation over energy prices.
The word fissure is very vague. Can you explain the steps?
Well, it's the
that-
language that our evidence uses. Our evidence indicates that these zealots essentially sort of use the language of needing further reassurances over and over again.
Impact energy security how?
Because it collapses the alliance if the US or these zealots
You don't
continue
make
to
a
demand
decision.
extractions
Okay,
and
so tell me,
concessions
like,
from the
you're
alliance.
telling me a South Korean politician will be like, okay, yeah, like we're gonna.
In fact, our energy security card
every
ties
other
this to the US's
area.
military relationship with South Korea. Or
Yeah, and also
Like, the US and China hate each other,
there's
they
another
start
argument
cooperating
here that's
on
super
everything.
important.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
not that just like the alliance is going to totally collapse, but it's that we're going to have to deal with all these like corrosive nuclear debates instead of figuring out how we can establish energy security. So even if it's not collapsed, it's just like the alliance is a disaster for the whole stuff.
I'm sending the Lindsay. I just sent the Lindsay. I can use your time. Or, yeah, second. Yeah. Jen, you can hear me fine? The order is 6, and then advantage 2, advantage 1. Yeah, I looked up and saw 2 judges and was very confused for a second. Alright. Jen, good?
I'm done.
Yeah, 1 second.
Alright.
My office is.
The online portion's figured out now at least.
That was a very vigorous step shake.
Oh, well, I thought you were getting ready to start.
No, I was,
So we're ready to go.
I'm confirming the online portion. I was
Thank
waiting
you.
for in
I'm
person.
sorry about that.
Alright. Emory, go get. Cool. Okay. Cool. Civilization will destroy civil trade, the ship to be restricting nuclear force extends global civilizing mission that legitimizing people violence further. 20 civilization will destroy the Western problematic claim, non-West deployment of hierarchical process, legitimization focus on language, appreciating kind of shipping effect to have on policy arms, and disarmament sets the concept of the differentiation between civilizing and non-civilizing German membership of society, discourses, but modes of law, or hierarchy, regulated, and figuring intervening systems, legitimate different rules for civilization, progressive mission to all features understood this same modernity, HR, women's control, gives hysteria, ability, power, civilization, disciplinary, and contributing others, little simple, established, activate threats, encourage versus always been, justification for imperialism, the alternative purpose to engage in hermeneutic, submission, and categorical reject whiteness at every turn temporary. 20. What it means to reimagine the study and mythologize the center will require response to situate this recurrent awareness to contours of your essentials and truths and whiteness and loyalty, humanity, principle, totally, being charged to research on great powers is totally possible, but if the way to embrace internal diversity is much more attention need to be given to correction labels, health, and this whole project need to be informed by hermeneutic, suspicion of cold, tender, rigor, persistence, racialized ignorance, possible absence of hierarchy, will continue to be weight. Next off, the United States should not preemptively strike North Korea while maintaining a first use posture, induce North Korea to reunify, offering incentives and drawing on down sanctioned military presence, support South Korea's middle power status, put ICBMs on low alert, low stability rate. 16. U.S. weapons on high-alert Christians acts and other authorized mistaken launch aggressive high-alert spark nuclear exchange. This should put on high-alert should affect Chinese debate. This change would not should return high-alert type of crisis taking missiles high-alert to reduce the risk of nuclear use. U.S. maintain risk inducements which outcomes that are otherwise indisputable. Fear. 16. More research on monetary payments or material concessions to encourage concessions to do help otherwise attainable cooperation during negotiations payments from the form of cash loans or the payment service compensation that close the deficit held by the bigger side of the alliance. Next off, the office of the Speaker House should request that the Office of the Law Revision Council revisit the Code of Title 10 United States Code. The office should insert a no source provision to 10 U.S.C. clarifying the United States that nuclear weapons deployment strategy of the United States obligates the adoption of nuclear no use policy towards the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The executive judiciary should refrain from countering the law of the interpretation of the United States Code. That issuing a request for LC clarification so that changing positive law defense model for Janine polarization across 20. Codification to authorization based on provisions that lawyers perceive as indisputable and enacted treaties, but not formally enacted. Congress did not vote on. The motion is statute is countered by public appeals. Little interest to the reason to include time, expertise, to win accountability, bureaucracy, free commitment to non-partisanship, and Congress is an institution of rationality, the institution that predict strong and more durable system, delegation, bureaucracy, shift, blame, prevents power from being centralized in any single political for experts, average, new partisan politics, or service, common resolution mechanism, counterweight, high reserve, partisanship, opposition, and constituted partisanship, assertive process. Courts have fluid plus agreement laws, the U.S. Code of OCS mandates to rearrange federal law over city considered no source provision not exist connected law. OC creates out of full quality insert into definition difficult to find variables to pay attention, extinction, vermont. 20. Says they're being called upon to be more flexible, more collaborative, but that amongst time with the need for individuals for their peace and knowledge of the same theory orderly and ecosystems interconnected with the extent which well-suited resources to be real world politics and very effective responsibility getting order for the world attack license for particularly the time of crisis and nuclear weapons. Next off, the President of the United States should the budget authority for nuclear first use against the Democratic People's Republic of Korea rescinded and refused to refer to pending authorized appropriations. The United States Congress should introduce the past legislation rescinding the budget authority and issue a congressional resolution expressing its support. The counterclaim to beat themselves. Chapel 22. Past time to include questions about authority. Congress has qualified to constitutional concerns. Constitutional power include authority over or including authorization for appropriation of constitutional private opportunities to control, or by limiting and putting constitutions power the first group of governments of development and delivery systems. And then if you had no funds, maybe obligated to conduct first rate and pursuant to Congress President economy funding, rates and uncontrolled spending for 18. Nothing can be done for not exactly true rescission part crossing the packet of spending there, but no rescission is 2000. Easy change rescission is so important first step, just to get out of control, spending under control, send the message that you can't go, that we need to get spending under control more important, we can't go back to rescission, we get entirely, yes, start over rescission, this place to do extinction, Taylor, 20 and again, let's be repaid, resistant, trends, unsustainable trends lead to a crisis group, showing off resources, needing the ability to respond to growing threats, the failure to do with anger, violence, threshold crisis collapse out, globalized systems more likely to make a crisis, debt, market disruption, GDP stacking, negatively policy lead to strain on the med expeditions will amplify political instability, nations or terrorists, turn to WMD, COVID, and reveal fragility, banks announced QE public food need markets, they're ushering into this development that will alter civilization as we know it. Next up, off again, if you realize territorial conquest power, religious powers goes nuclear like, and Chapter 3, around challenging national order, offering utility, retaining opportunities for invasion of the Baltic, Taiwan, North Korea, as propagation escalates, takes would be nothing less than nuclear reordering of the world order, each trivial shortfalls of existing conventional capabilities, really critical, and employed Russian invasion, accidental imposed local superiority, manpower, and firepower forces striking the greatest benefits from proximity, lines for use repair, once the blow China aircraft, which is superiority, immediately precision missiles to read, left defensively Taiwan, opening to conquer a bomber, Yongbing, escalating to South and disproportion measures, nukes, chemical weapons, North Korea's chemical weapons, chemical inflicting casualties, and now thousands of minutes hold a 2-1 advantage on the U.S. unable to reach for once the superheating of the last decade's absence of great power war after you open involving conventional wars, we're changing the status quo, policy find out pictures of existential setup, put on pressing need for great power relations that cooperation with face time against climate change, proliferation, terrorism, we have no extension needs that any provocation for trigger fencing, nuclear weapon conflicts erupted in Africa, Middle East, Asia, reiterating food authoritarian spending, including cocktail offense, terms of remains important stability, U.S. regional and survival in the space system, which is coalition ability, which is powers such as China, Russia, Iran, Korea, bring no uncertainty, existential to more complex pandemics, major to global peace, priorities, concerted action, running the gap between the rich and poor, nationalism, populism, revisionist, sovereignty, consciousness, establishing a federal term desire to say how the world should be organized, what makes U.S. different from everything power, the fastest struggle over the LIO. Next off, Iranian price surge, power, more centralization, and Congress contingent on sustainment of U.S. defense applications, collecting. Constantly stands up for British and intense today, but independence on Iranian defense, twice the American data reveals U.S. at the forefront of Iranian imports for U.S. by nearly triple the attributes to contribute to demand, which is faster and multiple military application projects, tank our development, military having the application to missile defense production figures of nuclear, not solely what's going from ships to those price spikes. Geopolitics, international concerns, Iranian role, defense causing a surge of prices, new restrictions, spill over also, 21 nuclear policies, persistent crime effects on fuel, crime policy will prison need to receive the message to consequence of nuclear defense, privatized shift nuclear mod, basically likely restricting the bad administration up to new policy bread, enough impetus to reduce nuclear arsenal overdose, which may constitute nuclear arsenal to reduce nuclear opportunity by ultimate argument against the others, pressure from progressive party to pursue issues that these reductions and if you result in worsen reductions in unemployment, successful transition to nuclear partnership unlock Kazakhstan, energy, soft power, can you show 3, chip nuclear posture, European implications for energy security, U.S. bolting, geopolitical nuclear program, then of course Kazakhstan, integration, nuclear transition to and fly away from geopolitical space, nuclear carbon with broader sufficient energy regional stability, minority the appealing part of this is the president elevating standing centralization underground metaphors to transcend local national boundaries, resonating globally, Kazakhstan energy amplifies political influence, nuclear program can evolve into the role in energy, geopolitics reshaping, shows security across the region, extinction character, development centralization, seen into the Soviet Union challenge to numerous borders, as a player of arbitrary transit, water, extending Russian river, also trying to regional security with refugees, Kazakhstan, spend a resource gateway between Europe and nations, fight withdrawal, Ukraine, China, coalesce into regional dynamics, a new era geopolitics stable, resource does not really repeat air spring resurgent Taliban, China, and Russia, the Central Asia is more important than ever. The first advantage of the United States should increase nuclear contingency plan about leasing carbon conventional funding with South Korea. That's also good. Don't 21 the findings increase. Insurance backfire did not weaken security agencies, correct course. Service that individuals like to see credible, guarantees for versions about need to account for concerns for organizing tingling prescription, broadly, global U.S. to respond to truth threats, such as conquest backed by coercion, likely to use nuclear funding enables conventional insurance by clarifying the variant, with a certain temperature, the U.S. would have problems that could be avoided with strengthening credibility. Mount says that NCD's qualitatively different, Mount 24, the commitment to consult prior to most pressing step is qualitatively different, guaranteed because directly this is not been, but ideally, NCD comprehensive nuclear arms reading the alliances in addition straightforward, innovating attempt to make them contain not only nuclear visual, but across the energy emphasize conventional planning. And if the plan creates a rolling pressure for DW, deployment extinction in 21, and if you also not being consistent with create deployment is actually nuclear several and unity for deployment adjustment stress to solve purpose diminish credibility for this Congress, and that's why TW is provided information request over from Soul Circuit Agents or deployment TW's arms race consequence. Good, we're working to reset. Ability to project power, bolster aggressive Chinese operations and escalation. North Korea respond by deploying benefit, increasing risk of nuclear use. That card is marked at nuclear use, energy war, and on its own line with no war and global sword to Europe. It's not a bad scenario. It's going to be highlighting no military autonomy. Lee and Hum, 21 are connected about no nuclear research and human sense operating. Of course, unilaterally, independently, unilaterally, consultation from the U.S. Prime Minister, nuclear retaliation imposed on national calls concerned that Soviet hits capabilities, increased risk of nuclear is overstated. Soviet defense enable the U.S. to respond promptly, incredibly to surge bombing, counting from escalating. The next advantage, it's not credible power. 22, identity policy, not solve credibility. Adversaries unlikely to be reassured by verbal promise that they can be reversed. Deter aggression, and if you would do nuclear diversions, and if you would be a terrible idea, conventional bombs we can kill them with on nuclear capabilities, no Korean War, right? 131 Kim, to the focus efforts on reunification doctrine, aggressive would not be sending missiles to Russia, to fight war on Peninsula, Kim, to not let us start whatever you let really war, no reason, no intention to become a force of the U.S. and South Korea, promoting superiority, both conventional forces of war, but not so many problems. They concede it's insufficient. I would serve the Gardner highlighting no cooperation, Kavanaugh, 23 finding and military offensive served as war intentions have got worse, no one develop nuclear weapons to deteriorate further, no also attack aggression, North Korea's intended nuclear capabilities not intended to negotiate with the United States any accommodation, sanctions, or criticism, or hostile policy, no competition back here. 19. There's no time to attempts to kill economic rights and use exchange for protection, defense, variability, very between models outline events not going to affect so beyond their capacity, models have to likely no personal speculation rather than clear from the rigorous assessment. No China war, Tian 23 purge, weakened PLA, extreme deeper promotion, slow modernization purges, our setback purge, create rock forces, not overly weakened the nuclear China, realize the Bosphorus and Taiwan takes the time to restore confidence. China is a weaker spot, that card is a weaker spot, no middle powers pepper, 21 return middle power fails, make taxation for middle powers fit, kept modest between weak relations between middle states, complicated interactions, diplomacy, ad hoc, and my target reformatting coordination. That card is marked at coordination.
You get,
Yeah.
status. Okay. Can you click some defense?
Yeah. Against you, or 3 hours.
My first
Did you read
question.
the fossil card under credibility?
I read the first
Yeah,
part, not
that
the
one.
second one.
I have a question about first the uranium pricing disad. One, like, why is UST or evidence says, quote, data reveals the US and India are at the forefront of imports?
Well, yeah, but that's the point. Even if there are multiple actors that are at the forefront of imports, the U.S. is still an extremely significant one. We will also read evidence in the Block BJ challenges that says the U.S. is the #1 importer.
Also, the line near that says that in recent years, volume of the United States has nearly
Okay.
tripled compared to other nations.
Yeah.
The bigger question is just like this evidence is all in the context of like, and also this next fossil evidence is like in the context of like nuclear weapons, like the plan is declaratory and stuff.
No, the cost evidence is very specific. It says nuclear declaratory policy is precision crafted for its effects on allies, goes on to continue about having
Like, right, and
its
that's not
spillover into
allies, but
procurement
like, how does
prices.
it change the demand for uranium pricing? Like,
Well, the thing
Yeah,
is not, it's not that the plan literally fiats an end to nukes. It's that the signal that the plan sends globally. Remember in 1AC Cross-Ex, when you said in this quote, Biden has just codified massive nuclear focus. The plan would obviously disrupt that in order to be credible to North Korea, which our evidence says spills over to cutting broader modernization.
wait, so the link to the DISAD is that the plan sends a signal where countries model globally and then they decrease their
No,
nuclear arsenal?
countries model globally.
No, it sends a signal to the United States procurement plans.
Right.
What?
Yes, because the whole point is investors around the world, including countries, Kazakhstan, our allies, are all watching to see what will happen to the uranium market, how the U.S. decides to handle its nuclear posture, and the plan sends a giant signal that says we don't care as
But
much
the plan
anymore.
doesn't, like, what changes the nuclear arsenal? Because your evidence, you're right, it says the word declaratory in the context of assurances, but it doesn't say declaratory in the context of physical
No, that's not
forces.
true.
that are
Declaratory
uranium.
policy, quote, shifts domestic weapons procurement.
But what
The
domestic
last
weapons
two, the last two
procurement does it
paragraphs
show?
of the card indicate that those who want to make cuts to the arsenal see a declaratory policy such as the app as a justification to make those cuts.
But like, who's first of all, who's making the cuts to the arsenal?
The government,
Which government?
United States government.
So the DISAD is that people in the government will make further cuts to the arsenal as a result of its declaratory
Okay, wait, two
component.
things. One is, yes, that is one component, but the second thing is, remember, the DA is also based on perception. Investors are seeing to see whether the U.S. will be invested in the future, and you send a signal that they are not. So even if you don't literally result in cuts, the signal
But
that
if it
everyone
doesn't result
hears
in
is
cuts,
the
why
US
wouldn't that be the
less.
signal that's sent? Like
What
if
is
the plan doesn't result.
context? You just said that there's like a global thing where Biden is like, we care a lot, and then you were like, listen,
Okay, yes, we
not
adopted no
really
pursuit nuclear
anymore.
policy, but like if we maintain the arsenal, then like why does that result
Like,
in the
again,
same
this begs
signals?
the question of like, you're literally saying like, if we win no link, like, do we win the DA? Like, yeah.
No, I'm asking, your evidence indicates that it's the physical material of the nuclear weapons that's
Again,
the key to
no,
the signal.
like, and also we haven't given the block yet. They're running. Like, Can you say the order one more time?
Yeah.
Like just the updates.
The advanced counter plan, the code counter plan, the rescission counter plan, okay, the prices grading PA, and then the deterrence, yeah.
Okay, let me just pull it up now. Sorry. Okay, I'm good.
Yes, I'm good.
Oh. The plan is credible when declarations, all signals, binding, and credible community experts, use SO2 operational changes, plan and sales posture, capability change, which can highlight the capability and preventing future TWs deployment through arms control engagement, signals, serious and our commitments, portable via any use or cause demonstrations. 5, where 3 wants to believe it's in the best interest of Spain and declaratory posture change uniquely credible for Korea development Kim 23 and a quote unquote measure the resource provided the manual insufficient. Nuclear capability is secure guarantee for importantly keeping other restraints that U.S. restraint permanent progress and demonstrate greater durability according to behavioral steps would create expectations and predictable and future actions provided for changes while statements of intent health for operational extremities and unilateral statements. The North Korean war cause sanction codes global and nuclear weapons will be used by accident, speculation, or purpose. There's no defense. Secure principles like the escalation, China, U.S. allies get joined in this war with there's no defense engines or high play ever been that's proven standards with criminalization means you can and breach the U.S. Yes, and if you solve the leads and motive for militarization, U.S. military postures and North Korean nuclear threats, etc. and more. No evidence that conventional weapons done, but it's wrong to plan for eventual nuclear fire break and it's like sedition to conduct successfully in rotation strike with North Korea. Fears North Korean threats, etc. Recall the goalie resolution and will use for just conflicts with Russia. China, Iran, any Pakistan is at war with the otherwise extension. Let's start to the last line does say that diplomacy is key after the yellow highlighting general principles over diplomacy broadly cooperation involves exponential threats, climate change, energy cooperation, assurance, uranium prices, DA, economic trade, and scientific collaboration that's young, impact, climate change, causes changes, creates general effect that ripples and makes areas global. That's Andre communication, solves China war, enables stable relations with Britain, escalation in the SCS and ECS. That's why yes, China war wants their hotspots down like nuclear website. If it's total escalation, that's land from power leadership, solves extinction. Their evidence says it past failure, but their evidence predicts excessive exchange and arms control around hotspots for escalating existential conflicts. That's Paris, the South Korea advantage, energy security, solves extinction crises, result total societal breakdown, tipping point for running nuclear conflict. That's mostly South Korean military autonomy fuels nuclear war. North Korea with launch of preemptive strike because it uses really pressure, which ensures escalation. That's the powers evidence that counterplan permutation do it does not solve the case or evidence says consultation and integration only makes it worse. We do not read world impact to their other so the other cards are non-responsive, but the plan solves the link to TNWs and PLs that do not deploy in the future. But nuclear assurances are unstable. Proof laws that counterplan also can't solve non-nuclear illegit use obstruct deadlines as deterrence of freedom perspective arsenal. If TNWs raise questions about the nuclear coercion interested in energies, nukes found robust support nuclear counterassault IC serious, but radar nuclear brown nuclear lines of fiction and devices of phenomenon nukes permits for crazy effective schedule conventional forces use never convince the schedule ally average rates ceilings only increase anxieties and sorrow social security depend on nuclear use and case proves that they would not ask for TNWs with the and assurances over powers those of populous which flips the public opinion warrant that's found arms control moderates it creating in for nuclear low point during the 2018 to that's Baker and there's a uniqueness reader already worth the type of publicly calling for nuclear acquisition that's not only needed to give control integration solves otherwise from Korea will drive a deeper wedge until the line resolve is a determinant of assurances and definitely fail. Yes, energy internal link is about US and South Korea cooperating themselves says it spills over to other countries, especially if the crisis. Yay, it's true. Yes, military autonomy. 2024 evidence and it's going now. The advanced counterplan firms you both firm to the counterplan firm to the plan and any combination plans links and benefit counterplans without as long as the overly issue causes on proliferation, unrealistic, undependent policy rules the comparative military and trend fashion and neglect flexibility is a voting issue cost time tradition use article approach are responsibility disposal or offense is not so North Korea ASEAN and people and if you provides an offer otherwise nuclear assassinations by North Korea the skill acquisition that's been decided not using first gets linked at least and benefit does not so North Korea other countries using first and don't induce themselves unification security fears how it causes reinforcement service play only getting China to the table can solve inducement is being just like one air answers and supporting South Korea middle status is not solid the static role in the plan can enable a stronger role for South Korea taking ICBMs off higher alerts does not solve it doesn't prevent North Korean escalation from forceful US response the code counterplan permutation be the counterplan permutation be both from nuclear and the counterplan's process from the plan and the counterplan over nuclear weapons for the counterplan counterplan for the exclusion of war to the plan and not type the exclusion from serve after particularly in literature controversy from to the plan and the counterplan over first use artificial the counterplans are going to kill world education all opportunity possible to the plan and result of the plan it makes leveraging offense possible picks of rotor the list uncontrolled the drill and destroy after unlimited alone so their offensive counterplan is not solved one will defer to aggression as you kill 22 and the other is controlling the reserve could and such large opposite will titles with an short change possible have amateur Congress for that are all strange and procedures evidence of Congress meeting minutes are expressed differently in legislation 2 courts and executive agencies ignore statutory notes 3 of North Korea unconditionally divided NSA Salkin 9 180 with Korean for the version NSA North Korea would have your TCL North Korea property and the operation of the secure doctrine taken for the doctrines that ensure consistency by the blooding NSA North Korea NSA unconditional pledge to publicly binding and unconditional NSA's perennial issue for South Korea the conflict contains possessing nuclear lines which classes the lines 5 lay absent needed the code for changes conflict escalations in the short term that's standards and that's standards and there's no telling once he crosses the scope of various congressional bodies all how they contribute to partisanship just the OLRC doesn't send any precedent the OLC exists and frequently issues clarification inserted yellow and that includes no source provisions inserted in yellow and the counterplan cannot solve polarization, the rescission counterclaim firm to both firm to the counterclaim, firm to the claim counterclaim, restricts or evidence substantiation, both permutations, it's about different legislation, doesn't solve one thing coherent, there's no clear first use appropriations, funding the counterclaim could be seen, legislative, executive, circumvents, appears to be present looking amusement and finance does not solve or disarm, so appropriations exist for sole executive authority that means confront either limits are so responsible with scope without solving development plans. The IKEA and the internal about water rescission finders no evidence first use, nuclear effects sufficient, no nuclear effect, any sites, any renegade substance, really effects, and here 21 percent is not for out of other our grits, not the hour terms of the leader's decision is any of the village of the lower trees and the will of the demanding social markets right. Even that's one of the that there may be innovation could do that furthermore. The end of one of the changing conditions that we sort of dynamic makes the level of debt more typical traditional levels are unstable. The K, framework way when you think it's a competitive opportunity cost that came from equality to any other moral class of caution fairness by like the burden of extinction ways that irreversible death is the only ontological statement 18 killing everyone for exercise and set firms to both of the open over women's has to ignore from the afternoon link produces imperial balance by continuing use military iris plus an effective 15 choices and on few don't spend as more saving more social group policy performance and ability of activists for them where to predict outcome working like an uncertainty there's even unforeseen points where we're designing a qualitative techniques for cutting policy people and spreading to big policy and whether it's root cause limits self and vertical walls falsely neighbors for finance and microfinance and permanent play line decision about regulation to determine air quality technical consideration after play right unrest by organizations activists have potential make a contribution to these organizations style only way to evaluate effectively the all failures of prescription for shoot down which is key for security and iron global uncertainty risk stuff and or for funds but are just by resource based offense false and they can cost like contrary to offense sources ways severance uranium prices DA prices are down and just recover time funds 23 positive and see that shift from energy policy perspective uranium prices are not should see a bill being minor decent time utilities are worth an option supply itself has been instructed to move away no link does not change anything about what it's procurement it's mostly just declared during performance features CW's appointed they have not read evidence no link there evidence is valid part of the not North Korea not keeping when uranium is required table hey and 23 nuclear weapons one will come prices swings uranium price that makes a small portion and constantly small amount of my materials are needed and there's no opening for guests aren't able to get anything done in the past again thumbs the internal leakage shifting energy towards nuclear energy outweigh in the end 23 after decades of uranium price rise oil chips for nuclear energy no rise for nuclear to red reliable a base load power for just invasion of Ukraine energy security has been the top priorities nuclear energy products and secure sources nuclear power intentions including minimum prices utilities are returning to long-term confidence soon as that is overwhelmed that in 23 amid that in crisis acceleration Ukraine war countries like Japan France South Korea India UK and US and Jordan announcing incentives for funding nuclear power Japanese reactors out of the Willow Center restarted the structural demand for uranium by 10 and 12 million pounds a year uranium started near 50 billion on 2 weeks and no link when you see facilities about uranium mining for weapons only see zero autoclaves rate also can see the Indian dumpsters no keep war on other countries like Russia and China organizing far more than US or Central Asia Biden says no traditional cuts heat and if you and its people now cannot in 1928 this year US President has the central 5 countries signed agreement for regional foreign policy priorities by include Kobe and terrorism and economic Beijing also supports the fight against terrorism and the threat of first using its nuclear costs for proliferation and 21 who sends up Europe's conventional military security people to turn nuclear drones nuclear strike with catastrophic conventional consequences to the security factor of the decision of nuclear weapons that encourage other weapons to go nuclear weapons for general security level and proliferation and projecting little possibility of the world against 22 and foreign to over some Turkey using those who almost the world in under absence of time for better missiles to travel intercontinental distances marked by dispersed nuclear weapons subject to long-term warning and the hands of technically challenged militaries include here's elements escalating nuclear war and loose nukes the deterrence DA no link the plan only applies to North Korea they have no evidence just by saying what are answers and no uniqueness for the transmission invasion of Ukraine Chinese regional laws between testing and running escalation of the effectiveness of nuclear coercion withholding North Korea's was resolve those threats and the threats not credible no hours or police video links to us but only with the attempt for its conventional and like deterrence that's not a commitment traps that way by federal and sub 18 the commitment traps even the threats have lasting consequences China North Korea by the distance no one the best video commitment traps to develop all through the nuclear side to respond to this commitment as well body watching the leaders on all security military data shut unarmed commitment to retaliation plus question benchmark capability confidence community threat and the threat of first use right ever monetization which increases risk of health knowing second striking conventional to be solved by and 20 arguing to sides with making sure but we can run this did not make sense here says nuclear capabilities to turn on nuclear science and right is a critical turn and it's not even type of something after even more sense our zero can do so there's an independent culture of visuals in their own first use would be and which first use would be necessary no link to when it's not embedded China does not apply to them and there's no combination of 23 there are more reason to do and no one can provide information on the local coffee and the more you're not Chinese not experience to understand which energy what kind of evidence of them be extra careful critical issues and you can understand this first China so they're confident with the economy without access and the same applies for Russia they have no evidence that the plan causes them to do anything evil that wouldn't be the project of capability after Ukraine is there a card that
Yeah, let's do some credits.
what's this for
Uranium.
okay back to the uranium prices DA The global signaling link is wrong. One, the largest exporter just cut shortages out of it. Washington, one, a Kazakh uranium mining company, Kazakh Fund will produce only 8% of dead police for during signal levels of fluoric acid. Kazakh Fund produce only 20% of the world's uranium, and 2 people perceive stocks being down. And 222 shares of the credit that top uranium are shown 10% of the last few days. And London, the nurse and causes some people to wake up. The fact may be careful that the producer 3, the plan is that things change supply bottlenecks, those are necessary for high uranium prices for or rising demand for nuclear energy and other geopolitical issues. Ramp up delays.
I'll send this out. I'm gonna wait for this. Yeah, give me a second. Okay.
Should make sense.
Let me download it.
Yeah.
Cool. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, you read the hurry evidence, right? New
Which
energy
one?
demand solves.
The last part?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. The first actual question that I have is mostly a point of confusion. The second argument on the case was that you result in operational changes to make the policy credible, but you said that it's mostly declaratory on the DA. What operational changes do you do?
Like, we preclude the US from, for example, stationing PWs in South
Why did you
Korea.
say that on Racy Classic?
I did
So
start to
you
say
did.
that.
You said you don't know what the other capabilities are.
I'm pretty sure I said that we would preclude any future TNW deployment, and if there are no others. But also, like, who cares if I didn't say anyone C concepts, if not just specify every single component of the plan.
Alright, I guess the lack of T&W deployment, how is that sufficient to make the policy credible? It's
Well-
not something that we do
Well, it
now.
shows that it's durable, but, like, it shows it's durable with time. The US will not do anything to make North Korea doubt our commitment to the NFU in the future. But importantly, like, we have read evidence that the declaratory component of the plan alone solves, because North Korea is seeking a huge departure from the US, like, consistently threatening North Korea. Like, the Dalton Income evidence, the Stowe evidence, all identify that North Korea seeks the US to adopt any sort of measure, and it's in their best interest to believe it's unsustainable to modernize at pace with the US.
Alright, that's fine. The uranium prices, DA proper, I just want to ask about some of the cards that you read. So not the Sandal Hay evidence about the amount required for nuclear plants. Why do you think this answers the DA at all?
Wait, which card are you talking about? Is
The-
it one of the cards that was, like, sent out?
Sandal Hay, not key, minimal uranium is required for nuclear plants.
Well, because you've made arguments as to why, like, uranium is, like, you've made arguments about why uranium prices are necessary for a nuclear partnership. We have said that that's not true.
Sure.
Because uranium makes up a small
The
portion.
NB evidence that you read seems to concede the thesis of the DA. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine, energy security has risen to the top of priorities. That's kind of our uniqueness argument, that prices matter now, so why do past 10 years matter?
So this evidence makes a completely distinct argument that you have to answer, that there are other reasons why states would continue to cooperate over nuclear energy if it's in their best security interest, even if prices
Where
are-
do you think this has
The line
that?
that you read substantiates that.
It says that security has risen to the top of priorities,
Yes.
therefore cooperation solves the DA. What?
Yes, it says that there are other reasons why states would engage in cooperation over nuclear energy because of security concerns.
Okay, Biden says no to additional cuts. What?
Like the DA link argument presumes that progressives are, like, going to jump onto the plan's restriction to try to, like, other negative things. Like, it's your burden, and it's our argument that the plan's not necessarily popular and is something that Biden's going to sign off on progressives getting behind to, like, do more operational cuts or cuts to nuclear posture.
Alright, sounds good. So this NREG evidence for the Iran add-on, that threat, it seems to refer to the threat to use nuclear weapons against Iran, not North Korea.
No, the line before it says the threat
Yeah.
towards North Korea, and then it says that threat referring to the threat towards North Korea.
So post-plan U.S. Alright, taking time.
Okay, we have one. wait. 3 rounds. Okay, while we're waiting on this restroom.
So how's taxes been for you guys?
Is it awesome?
Huh? I'm doing good. How are you?
There's a big smile.
Huh?
Biggest smile.
I can't be happy.
No, I'm glad.
I'm glad you're glad.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm chilling. I'm so happy this is over. Go take a picture. You can't distribute that, yeah.
It's so good though. I need that photo. Yeah. Oh.
Okay, it's been sent. The order is the South Korea image, the North Korea image, the deterrence TA, then the uranium TA.
Audio on?
What?
Is it South Korea then North Korea?
Yes. And then the yes. Okay, Jen, are you good? Yeah, and everyone else, okay.
The Tracy Bradley and Paxi Douglas McCoy to the box for Rachel Archer taking over Grace and plays Alfie News to China. He says the Russian goes deep excellently as the plan causes the non-political leadership and officer control that dissolves the administrative plan. Goes deep the management of the one is going to the US on. So we approach the Germany, goes to Germany from the US, see the leaders of the North, see the one in the US, so we have access to the little of the US, probably see the leaders of the US, the Germany, so we are shaking.
Clear.
Visit, testing, shorts out, services for the sailing, control the burgers, the edge of our working men, not clutch business, the slope is the rest of slowing down. Without the wheels of community, can't conclude it to be targeted, authorized nuclear years, smoking granted, nuclear super, face the day, and he's Phoenix. The carbon consultation looks distant, and you see from the even of the carbon insurance Korea, the inclusion of the average of Richard Warbridge, Bush 16, and the principally representation pregnant, and there's one that threats souls with the US possesses, wandering on new arms of the growth, and checking in the US over the Garcia, the worst expression of the US administration of the US Supreme and nuclear extrusion, not really the fusion part of the US and Asian Korea consultation, takes assurance, now, whenever security, all
relation to obviously permanent access again, no elements of are under the running institution, the coefficient of one, the coefficient test of information, CP, and delays, the necessary energy scenario 0, no explanation of spill over the US and China, our enemies, the still cooperating in other areas for no reason, but just because the military alliance has the one cooperate over energy security and no evidence that Indo-Pacific energy systems are coming now, and with the war, the Syria starts to drill, drop, the whole thing evidence about NATO, and Russia knowing that Indo-Pacific has new system for China, and they're not launching at the Philippines because of an energy set, no military autonomy impacts the Indo-Pacific, evidence of the South has quote, no incentive to go in and alone, this is only offense to the DA because the plan makes that likely, and they don't have this heck anyways, here's where evidence Korea, 127, 115, again, right to the US is accommodating to China, China, having to turn the US, and wanting to, since the US really shows that she was given probably with the being insured, but also true, this is one of the recent events, on the main way 3/4 south, this is where we're going to the TV, as for the Indo-Pacific first, and we're trying to hold the global level, and then the Japan versus force, resource for global level, CCS, and Taiwan, now the North Korean Indians, no North Korea war, Mr. Lawrence is overwhelming, with sending missiles to Russia, the DMZ, warning Zeno, tries in Korea, and Kim still wants peace, we're going to consider word evidence was from a few days ago, the thesis of war, is wrong, power ones report Kim's, this missile bringing attention to acquisition of the US, calling for the main concerns, he was opinion for his own policy, he should public, show numbers and years, and the war will start the time, the release of comes to every 3, 5 years, like the government, like it is in the war, teaching like the also will tell you, the first one to take time to share the same large range of the deterrence is achieved by I think the appreciation nation because one of the US for the Korean organization of the year 2, all the response to the US over the number of residents working on, I was looking forward to the diversity of the US is because no Chinese will after the break. Now, them going first is wrong, cancel all game, Kim, what's been my best exercise with the new first versus war, again, make sure to the disability, but how do you go when they start basing him, the global message to the church, kind of go with actually leadership critical here, we'll see, most of the obvious people in the circle lines up, the commercials are going to circle, Alexa put oil support for Australia, Russia, Russia, research, law, and attacking the thing, and over cannot take the serious, the objects are not a point where Lewis, 133, actually, what's going on, working, some signal, the university, the already was running here, something we're not doing, most of the university, we're probably also will not do that, and the US will also not go first because they have nuclear superiority, more evidence, and they are trying to also introduce the government of the US will never live after the university, the resources, the human code, and the notice of the nukes now, other wars, no still over their evidence is a Korea alone is insufficient, which was regarded for a broader state and Turkey of Israel below, no, climate impacts every other country, South China, India, of Russia, and the EU, and collective action problem, no treaties ever worked with the industry, salt, independently, admitting us, foreign, independently, fossil fuel lobby blocks, not existential, different 19 housing, as the announced global climate change, research, and experts, different extreme weather, no system, support, all and all these areas, also weather conditions, and bad, the bad, even degrees, no concept civilization, and also constitution, disaster, related civilization, energy, the climate, and survival, so it is important to actually represent the current climate change system, for further evidence that it's actually scientific consensus, so you should not prefer no China war, they will not be aggressive, there's no hotspots since they have corruption and try to turn inwards or evidence that they cannot invade Taiwan, SCS conflicts have been happening for over a decade, which means there's no scenario more evidence telling 22 multiple obvious scenarios of China videos, a greater than the most sensitive model of strategies to both that, the China University of the world of hostility to the US, which is their changes point, too much response to population, plus the team fertility, globalization, versus the US and China, in terms of democracy, and a data evolution of the political system, we just with the other leaders to make a combination, there's no reason why North Korea would stop that makes the US and China distinct incentives, which means that there's no impact, also no middle of power impacts Korea, complicates relations because of historical tensions with China, and they lack any willing global affairs, futuristic, linkages and other conflicts, also while the uniqueness evidence percent, US leadership is key to make Korea a middle power because it's the only way that they prove that they have a multi-vector foreign policy that enforce both sides at the same time, not that the China state commitment, Trump argument is wrong, it's globally inevitable, their argument is not to Korea, and the term proves the alliance is in lockstep, ambiguity, and responsibility also to make an ambiguity, and the custody of these speaker forces are the first use, which are only they also responsibility to stop trusting the US, including these sources, enforcing information that make use of brother bigger, what is essentially being one of the secure operating impulses, right, the news of the uranium made sanctions now, they've been at the chance for decades without it actually happening, because the US has had the first use option against North Korea for literal years, so around the world, against her 23, was a long-term years for support of American countries, this information and media public representation about using the security authorities to run a little issues that political position religious restriction working copies where that anyone has to involved the entities religiously and politically taboo, and also 23, the author of the intellectual term Iran is a company is one of the Iran first with the NBC, the system they system use for sitting and spawn the agree that not only actually receive that from the opposite out to other countries, in the world more practical back to the Russian when the Ukraine wants culture, the Iranian narrative, more evidence, go back to the other page, I'll read more evidence on the DA. Korea has full confidence and credibility in the that the North Korea has been armed with the 20 launches when they're one of the US has some of the transition and Russian terrorists to the extent to deter that evidence that's South has full confidence in the US military for setting even possible peace. This would overwhelm responses to the US response to several documented deterrence and diversion of self-energy, which increases the flexibility as SPN systems are framing issue because most of their cards, except for the Mount 24 card that we required, is from 2023 before the Washington Declaration or when it was in its early stages, so only our evidence actually assumes it, and more evidence reversing the declaration causes them to get TNW Smith's lawyer 23, the Zoom of the South, just as the US Constitution of the US wanted to deal with the Washington Police Constitution of the SNU where all the senior artists to the soul remaining telling which studies about the opposition, the RPC, the two, the self-protection, the lateral, or condition, the planning, providing insurance, the equitable and rock solid, the threat that's worse than introduce TNWs, and if their argument is that they don't deploy the TNWs when Korea asks, our evidence says Korea proliferates, which is another conceding for jurisdiction.
On that point about whether the plan to place TNWs, the Miller evidence is just about a broad NFU, and it's like we probably leave some nuclear weapons in place. Like obviously, yeah, agrees that some nuclear weapons are
Okay, two
placed,
things.
so why do you think
One,
this is?
stop shifting. In cross-sex, you said you couldn't name them.
Didn't
Unless
you
you
also
point me
think
to a
Georgia
line
House
in a
does
solvency
authority?
advocate that says this is what the plan does.
I'm not
This is
asking
usually
you about
what
what
the
the
language
NEC
is.
says, I'm asking you about the evidence.
Well, this evidence is about an NFU and says like it would not require applying TNWs. Like, it's good enough, especially since in cross-sex you said you didn't know.
That's just whatever. The term do both stuff, your evidence that's just like goes, is a bridge too far, is not at all assuming the counterplan. It's just like Korea doesn't like an NFU, but if you read
No,
evidence,
that's
they
wrong.
love it.
It
and
says,
we read it.
quote, though the U.S. should engage in Korea with consultations, it cannot
About
put
extended
security
deterrence,
allies.
not incorporating conventional planning, which you both said is
Okay,
something
that
that's
is
crucial to
literally-
the alliance.
Wait, what was the question?
It's not, in the, it says consultations, but it's about something else, not what the counterplan is, not that.
Okay, to be
You said
fair,
the
the
line, and we
counterplan
said
does
it.
consult. Nuclear planning.
I know, over something else,
Consulting-
it's about something else.
No, consulting Korea over when we would launch a nuke, how we would respond, like whether flexible responses would be used, etc. You did not ask this in 1 and 2 cross-six, by the way, because we would have clarified that that's what it is.
Okay. The intern stuff, the Dalton evidence says officials in the conservative Lee administration raised concerns about changes to the posture. We've read evidence about the current president, Yoon. who
Yeah,
is
he's
in
also a
opposition.
conservative.
No, well, we've read evidence that Yoon, does not like the current U.S. nuclear posture and threats of first use. You've read evidence that Lee, the party that's running against Yoon,
Okay,
who
that's
cares?
not true at all. When it said that's not true at all. Okay, like first of all, that question just demonstrates a misunderstanding of Korean history. The Lee president you're talking about is literally someone that you has come out during elections and says he idolizes. Like, are you kidding me?
He's leading the party
And
that's
also,
against Yoon.
the
Why
parts
would
where
you
you're
read
like,
about
you,
opposition
he,
party
we
versus
read
that?
evidence from 2023 that his party right now opposes TNWs in this quo. If things get worse, then obviously he would ask for redeployment. So this is a neg warrant.
Okay. The argument that only you have evidence that assumes the declaration, the amount 24 of the NEC explicitly says Washington Declaration by name, Edom 24.
Right, and then the
what's
conclusion
this
of that
assertion?
article that you did not cut says the NCG in the status quo is, quote, a categorically different type of assurance that does solve and says that we need the counterplan. He advocates it,
Okay, sure.
and you dropped it.
Disagree.
How much would the dollars now?
Yeah, wait.
It was like 856.
Okay, so.
I'm sending the one. It is sent. Okay, Kelly, you're muted still.
You got the summary.
Alright, Jen, can you hear me? Alright. The order is going to be the advantage counterplan, the code counterplan, the critique, or the rescission counterplan, the critique, the deterrence DA, and then the uranium prices DA.
So could you do that one time?
Yeah. The advantage counterplan, the code counterplan, the rescission counterplan, the K, the deterrence DA, the uranium prices DA. Everyone good?
Oh, wait, sorry, I pulled the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, Jen, thumbs up if you're good. Cool. Condition shot we did first new action black scratch change the condition which provides multiple options. Think group 10 back return to class group 2 second flexibility test increasing this unpredictable advantages 3 arbitrary and objective difference 4 innovation risk revision means to fall back or negative 2 reactive 2 and after disclose that kind of in disguise we get everything we did first new apps everything else revision react the argument not the team continues purpose that's combination of the meta channel fun code precision and the critique that deters DA concede impact defense the running prices DA that way is not to degree essential issues in your life interrupted global drama multiple nuclear states including Russia and China's characters those are previous years senior like borders constraint transit and refugee flows within the next area which humanitarian stable Kazakhstan geographic proximity undermines nuclear risk creates nuclear risk Casanova nuclear risk inflection point over 14,000 uses for planning attempt over Kazakhstan and complex escalating nuclear confrontation China Russia borders and Russia is stagnating nuclear weapons in Asia nuclear region Pakistan India neighbors across Caspian Sea Iran nuclear aspirations concern military instability triggers apocalyptic energy war deception produces Ukraine continues to be global crisis due to earthquakes and consensus will be world apocalypse even though determine too many problems energy and future each other could domino effect for example immigration energy security start to make the whole world situation science stress with resources of the states solve problem of all states externally solve power crisis global buffer against escalation caps security risk control of terror copy 15 in areas one country attack Russia in Kazakhstan we are shifting regions of challenges proliferation China Russia extremism energy resources Kazakhstan for the world intermediary consensus issues sensitive of Turkey around Saudi and India are trying to deal with Russia and China and promote non-relevant and improve security cannot ignore Kazakhstan in terms of the case soft already escalates towards Russia and China creates relations buffer that solves every advantage conversely unstable Kazakhstan causes Russian and Chinese aggression they share land border to make the escalation impossible and the signal plans and adversaries maintain offensive positives now with 2C1 off uranium prices are high now Kazakhstan's wants to trace price the next largest supplier in the US tripling imports the key drivers banned from the nuclear defense applications that's the collective evidence price there is spurring due to geopolitical need SM110 surge of prices to provide nuclear defense geopolitical supply demand shortage to 16-year high demand is higher reaching the highest since 12 due to US sentiment is industrial confidence shares experience uptake reflecting price increasing catalyst geopolitical tensions adding to demand the US's global supply and New York defense to invest into shot in the arm for global interest 15 112 global string rally granting further also which produces the world short goes on market over increasing price of market triple hundred Japan expectations increase bullish time market does pretty price reversal from supply Kazakhstan global power getting shot in the arm right now from the US to invest 2C2 gas link group all there in the extent if you it takes nuclear modernizations fully over time related because there are multiple independent links one procurement of very policies precision crafted shape domestic production will be taken as a role indicator of US strategic posture greenlighting new weapons production that's how it trickles down Martin 8 Punishment policy to account the effects of down procurement and use and of new center appropriate offices in culture of don't use with the way to retaliate or arms control risk reductions conducting its background on supply reduction and if you effect nuclear notification or what you the same effects normal signaling and if you use and you case for reducing the signal salience of use when you start taking this posture and if you restrict the size of keep to arsenal diagrams and only 18 option and if you not be very well operational should follow and if you eliminate functions capabilities more finding include shape procurement modifies which shape physical qualities of course way they run the scene of information then deterrence and instantly slap back to 100 forces player 18 years capable for free weapons spend deterrence for more fundamental deterrence only investment would be scaled and deterrence only bombers are missiles are dispensable requirements to implement as damn sharp production size good the machine requirements for refurbishment would respect the manufacturing ingredient transition deterrence only wishing whereas the manufacturer would also consider surplus capacity that pressure 3 is pressure requirements is currently back in modernization to the compromise pressure lines pressure progressive banking will keep the concept of policy plans golden opportunity force remains on further restraint that's cost of fear requires Robert's 21 most important scope requires to modernization has been 5% modernization places the more healthy 30-year project through 15-year consensus key accomplishment asked by bipartisanship will serve together to bipartisan that links even to the plan only covers no code percentage based larger change to use nuclear policy in decades and closest thing 10 if uses full signal the signal alone ripples well 18 images and unlabels from bilateral interactions with interactions with other sheep emission one of many influence states on the other sleep matters allies think of seeking to place for the first impression psychological factors not allies not to be sent to sheep talk on the contrary sent to exactly the effects of ships from incidents without their behavior own experience actions one of main influence and others there are other independent links one is restrictions new restrictions spill over into third parties right and attention and funding focus on themselves on control investment of security team admin mindset state the course funding increase in face challenges justifying investment for reducing world dictionary related to third party because of infrastructure no mindset there's one call hostile relief they said we have organizations to and perception of this fall independent concept the second is follow on that Peter constitutional of local support rather than most enthusiastic new advocates lodging the lobbying support adoption of the able advocates one of our programs that they didn't have as many managers as delivered on the US money at all but a few of it's independently they must be all and so they want to state independently possible and using experimentally against that percent keeps on only for retaliation preferred to quote some sense of global subject with he's single conditions that slow down nuclear plants is not all relevant and it's decreasing demand for weapons which is below they have taken some our argument push grain shot up price with the one to see graph of the plane nukes say that's above the plane collapses uranium prices existing capacity isn't enough ready but if you could control the capacity isn't enough to meet support demand of European prices geopolitics services support the US the nuclear for Russia US support uranium demand industries wide situation the front of our US for the lowest since 08 just as potential resources will be necessary once the uranium industry or interlink grade 18 industry but it's openly acknowledging connection with nuclear power weapons uranium back under return spending the large growth market serving whole channel price increased expectations of the driving perception based on this 16 over supply seasons minimum Russia demand for stock levels although it's well reverse neutral perceptions based on Russian positive no reconcile one uranium they say power solve uranium is used for defense critical ingredient projects it's a critical ingredient in projects with supply given it's also blatantly obvious use uranium now it's a slew of defense applications since 2019 there are other areas for defensive purposes military for uranium planning projectiles 500 merchant includes for wall chamber the cost of domestic foreign sources, critical factor for production, and foreign revenues, tasting the market, domestic production, which are not even not civilian applications of affairs, military, and the plans was over on the related areas. India thumbs to support, which was done above. They say no. What this card is 0, no warrant, no card strike hit. It's disproven by the link above. And Biden said that he supported nuclear reductions at the beginning of this presidency. They say stable now. It's about economic co-op and anti-terrorism, not on impacts. No new answers. In fact, it's at 100 in terms of the case. They say just cut this is 80% of maximum. Doesn't the prices are quadrupling. Say 125. President people will wing. President Manning introducing quarter cent nuclear industry leads for demand. There are many reasons. The price of people market. Tax code in Ukraine kind of by the Bush. Use on the investment market. Speed upward pressure is still far from a historic high. The last argument is about London. They get no new warrants. The 2AC massively messed up this DA. They read multiple 2-line cards that basically don't answer it at all. I'm going to read another card quickly. Uranium having major price value now, Denning, 23 nuclear powers, both in the long-term and Asian uranium strength, over dark rivers and stockpiling of nukes is outside money is relatively concentrated in Kazakhstan. Financial markets inject spirits into this fund surpassed $5 billion. That card is marked at $5 billion. I'll send it out.
We'll wait for the card.
Yeah. All right, it's done. Where'd BK go?
Huh?
Where'd BK go?
I don't know, man. He'll be back though. I can feel it though.
Come on, BK.
I'm serious.
I'm not sure anyone wants that.
I feel like I'd be that weird.
They also technically forfeit your initial ability.
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's going to be the South Korea advantage, the North Korea advantage, the uranium prices DA, and then the advantage count plan.
Wait, can I just reorder the doc real quick?
Yeah, so the doc is still out of order. Yeah, fix this. Reorder it.
Okay, and is the Polish stuff at the bottom on South Korea?
No, just ignore it.
Just go.
Yeah, I'll just pull this up at the it's for fun. Okay. Everyone, good. Jen. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold.
South Korea will develop because of the warning by Korea, North Korea strikes and draws it. All major powers powers with the status zero assured starting name. Assured starting the government plans all CW to play. I'm pretty sure the rate set in the process Michigan should have asked me to define the scope of the plan getting rid of TNW's gives them. Not only citizens regardless, obviously military plans will conclude that TNW deployment contribution to first question get rid of the evidence is not about the effort regardless of who's made an analytic argument that the US would never give them to South Korea stop pulling up the dark US will never deploy TNW to South Korea bigger and they would really better the evidence in the military I had no legislation who was on the Korean even though they have asked the US and Gala 22 and kept talking about the US but I'm going to do the TNW on the go over there and told them to the US state part of the US was not supporting the US the department of the was doing the 97 and the go over the options of and the cost for the car add cost but there's no link to this and use a card like we got one and one card 84 the moment of the industrial happen the office of the US force could be about the what is the confidence that being specific and would be made in the plan Korea will not fully put Kusura has zero worth the UNSS may introduce TNW South that it will but the plan prevents so the decided zero with piece of limb evidence do not assume the logical construction that senior Zealand's are named South Korea Mitchell Sea Line South China have 4.30 portion and we will be sending this to the no co. He was a nuclear weapons remains high, but there's no prolonged sanctions overwhelming the assassination of the cooperation counts for 30% that's unprotected serving that 95 years for evidence hacker. Yeah. But the counterplay doesn't the counterplay does solve for both their evidence on the proof. It's not about the counterplay consolidation. Only empowers units to check further possessions, only removing nuclear assurance completely unconditionally can reread the alliance as an evidence was in the 2AC. Now the North Korea advantage Kim does not want denuclearization. In fact, he's explicitly said the opposite. Thesis of war spread North Korea war goes global and nuclear use nuclear posture present action reaction cycle that ensures miscalculation accidental launch that's war and war China and the US allies get drawn in that's coupled ensures capacity will defense is wrong 2024 evidence tensions are high now. North Korean modernization to nuclear destabilizing the superpower centers Kim is not all times specific on treaties and nuclear posture indicated there are physical modernization changes which improve the idea that the sea agreement with the US will not use for the perception of low increase as victorious files great power wars as essential North Korean threats and more conflict with Russia, India, Pakistan, and Iran that goes as Carter. The contract problem is empirically wrong because of how North Korea is as an issue and a singular point in the relationship between all four of these countries that cooperation solve existential threats, competition, sustainable decrease. A domino if the destroys the ecosystem and causes conflict that's the Andre which answers the words in their defense, yes, unification and China work goes to new hospitals. Look, yes, in Taiwan guarantee confrontation or full size ensure execution that's Williams and just for decades when I answer unique confrontations that are emboldened by the threat of first use locks in.
Uranium prices DA.
Nuclear energy isn't key to stability, but it's working with the head of countries to upgrade U.S. prices, which China spice us and it also proves it will not break down costs of outstanding in the region dropped by the 1 hour does not turn case 1 hour doesn't say the word North Korea so you cannot let the 2 hour no conflict divide is about the Indo-Pak war, which they have not an internal link to the solved like having conflict with North Korea, which spills over China and Russia will not get started. The drug units on the deterrence DA that neither side wants to find a war is the only scenario for escalation is North Korea not key to energy resources and evidence. Since Central Asia health now that is key, we have evidence that tells you so South Korea cooperation solves better. Because the global reach considers that the middle power doesn't solve anything that takes out coffee, costs South Africa does not do anything prices. We're looking for decades to lead and to the Korean snapshot slow in the passage the internal gearing presses are falling 1 12 gearing presses along the high level order more high level the sequence of the running operations we work together the long term of the whole kind of go next there's no nuclear population is not key that's in hand all 23 unit president for higher mention is a major unit release and we're going to go to the nuclear conditions there but the accelerated component and needs to be your friend will some rise in your reactions and also to get operating on the in operational time worth of card, and operational time new incentives exist as mandate 2020 and the energy crisis is really rushing to what costs of friends. Some media the UK and the US and Germany and then the first new power champions ready to have to be built and be something that we circle. If you were intended to moving past it, week period, the county stuff I'll answer it. That was the last part of the link, but I'll do that first. We need planning to back and be able to have a shot of features, so we have so includes bilateral agreements to unilateral declarations, but 72 US and but within the one with governments and move your free bilateral agreement after the organization against the territory of the use prefer one particularly the resolution independent. And then article grammatically includes substance second is the only resolution of it, one or more means the average the only part of the entire category hill. And also one order the court on this one actually had with conservationally all whole maybe legally practically both are Afghan and absolute eliminate all first users who answer to pick that up one country one or one geographic region for overloading no you actually population is over and replacing holder the same map all year. That's bad because then you get discouraged to cut cards 5 solves bad still requires eliminating first use of its order towards the war fighting strategy and the fight with DODs. So there are core defense bases as to any restriction 60 US already has a 1990 and money to eliminate any restrictions so not use where to go up to the states have reason to control defense and is an honorable exclusion of subsystem of NFU. Now the energy impact, yes, the lower Ivan City the energy impact which should have been on the South Korea advantage, but I'll actually ignore that for now. The link debate, proper all answer our emails, it makes zero sense to play explicitly declaratory and prevents future TNW deployment. There's zero link to the TNW component of this, which still matters is how triple down there will be no culture of non-use because there's evidence about around our plan, which still maintain for every other country. That is a fact. Their evidence about SLBMs, we consider the modern evidence in yellow channel. Once again, not a whole lot of female organization on individual countries like NFU. The Blair evidence does not stop or force to scale like Blair's bad subs and bombers. The plan has nothing for them. We consider that evidence in yellow. The Roberts about what our single builders system which are 90 station signal. The signaling link takes zero sense to plan prevents future deployments of first use posture or rising demands for nuclear energy, etc. Should dump that shot one for the Delta Project, and even though it's part of the Delta Project, they need to diversify facial, and you can find an alternate supply for us now with the data account plan. The webinar on conduit with terrible conduits, but for procedural remedies, since we see the last chance for offense, and the argument is conditionality against post-also offense and to multiple account plans along the app. So it was the cost of the next step, Trasky, force debaters and coverage, clash wall, putting rule has the struggle, one season, force cooperations with groups, and it's not inevitable we can link, and in fact, DA advocacy, green light argument, and responsibility, and link between the argument and development, discouragement, research, and cautious advocacy, was you have interpretation as was one condos about a model, but debate second the app was application of CAD, case, and third, the arbitrary interp, kills argument, innovation, go to the South Korea advantage. Yes, energy impact, yes, global items indicates the first use is uniquely escalatory in the military relationship. Yes, interior energy security prevents extinction crises. Interest subtle breakdown which spurs broader nuclear conflict. That's all.
South Korea today. Everyone here. A global nuclear conflict, North Korea is coming now, calling fast and metals would take forever to prove the case is far faster. Fifth, nuclear modernization is not key to uranium growth or evidence is phenomenal. Does that nuclear energy is a far greater internal link the amount required to modernize a singular TNW does on air. Samuel Hayes evidence indicates that South Korea now plans to upgrade nuclear energy generation. Japan's accelerated nuclear energy. Eastern Europe, Belgium, and Canada. The two in our red quotes from their evidence that are substantiated by an argument. The debate.
We are not. Like that's basically that's.
Okay, we are all in.
Okay, I'm unmuted, Jen, so should I like why not stay?
I can, that's fine. Congratulations on both teams for making it to the semi-final of the Texas tournament. I thought this was an excellent debate. The decision is a 3-0 for the opponent. I think there's a lot of realistically tackling a relatively small but extremely modern that I think covered from and identified theory of argument about I think that the impact of stuff on the stuff could be big, but I think that the internal link and link stuff is wanting a little bit. Using the app is located right when they are putting out things in the net using evidence, reading evidence about a variety of other things that could affect uranium prices and demand in kind of the world sphere. And I think that they're also probably learning that the link stuff is substantially negated by the policy being relatively small and requiring fairly few operational changes. The link stuff being a little bigger than I thought it was going to be going into reading the evidence, because I do think that the note evidence is relatively good on the question of like people are going to money and shift the saliency of nuclear weapons in domestic policy, but also how it's perceived internationally. But I agree with the kind of articulation about the evidence that a lot of it is about things that I don't think the app would change, like subs, ICBM, and I think the one is the evidence is about kind of just like a variety of stuff related to the military. I think that I think the biggest thing for me is just like, is the military key and is the weight of the link that the neck wins enough to matter in the face of a bunch of other things affecting the uranium market? And I think that they are probably right to tell them that using this evidence ends up hurting you all because it's like other factors that are increasing prices like COVID, Russia, geopolitical questions, supply questions, and I think kind of all of that cuts back against the values of the always an internal question, which I already talked about. I will stop there.
Sorry, we're getting set up. Oh,
is not working for you either. Okay. Oh, great, thank you. You want to go next? Or we'll
Yeah, I can go. I largely agreed with that. I think they broadly won that AF is not a significant and sustained dip in uranium prices, and I think that was true after reading both AF and negative evidence. I think the problem was that a lot of your uniqueness evidence also mentioned the things that they say are the things that are driving the demand for nuclear energy, and also the card that talks about the military application, I also think are talking about not the things that they prohibit. And a lot of negative evidence that also said geopolitical demand, I think they correctly contextualized that in the context of Ukraine. It's all related to energy, so it's not necessarily the affirmative. And I think demand injection from other countries also dampened the effect of the plan somewhat. I think the negative is right that these are the only factors that control demand. So I thought a lot of twin framing made a lot of sense. I thought it was smart, but I think that begs a question of the actual link, which I didn't think that you want a lot. I wish that app had read more explicit, like we will not cut nukes card. So perceptually, I thought that you did read a lot of card, but I think they also pointed out most of those evidence is talking about not TNW, but broader SLBMs and other things we have in the triad. So I think that I was kind of skeptical what would be the rationale for kind of totally canceling a lot of modernization programs that we have. So I think all of these kind of is a giant cuts against the DA. I think I thought about the perception stuff a little bit, and I think maybe you could do a little bit more evidence debating there, but I don't think that was really talking about like investor perception. I think it was just talking about like way the allies kind of perceive different nuclear arrangements. I didn't think that was like really related to the energy shock that your evidence or your dissent is about. The case debate, I did feel a little bit uncomfortable with how like new the 2AR sounded, just based on a lot of explanation. I didn't think that 1AR was really ticky-tacky and doing a lot of line by line on the negative extension in the twin C. So I think the 1AR needs to do more case debating, but I think given the large mitigated risk of the DA, I think they just need to win the direction of instability on Korea and potential risk for miscalculation, and they also had some recent evidence that says deterrence might be collapsing and North Korea might launch it. So I thought that was only kind of short-term unique risk of the DA that I weighed.
I'll preface this by saying that I think both teams have improved pretty dramatically over the course of this year. I thought the 2AR was the best 2AR I've seen in a few years. I thought the neg block was good and the 2NR was not nearly as good. I broadly agree with kind of where folks ended up, although I think I thought there was more case and also less DA than the RFDs so far would suggest, I think. Like, you have Ev that says the US is buying a bunch of uranium, you have some random Ev about uranium prices, you have, as the affirmative correctly identifies and kind of exploits both in the 1AR and 2AR, y'all are reading cards about things like subs requiring uranium, also evidence about like a big NFU that would involve those kinds of cuts being problematic, but like starting in CX to the one you see they're pretty explicit, they don't do that stuff. Plan does not in nuke mod, doesn't meaningfully send the signal about reducing future nuclear modernization. I disagree with the way that y'all kind of handled both this and the other page over the course of the debate seems to suggest that y'all feel like I think that their answers in CX do check both this box and the TNW box pretty directly, right? So like y'all asked questions about this. Grace says the plan is declaratory. They might also do some operational stuff. There's not a ton the plan would change. There's not very much the plan would change about what's deployed or whatever, but if there were to be things targeted North Korea like TNWs, we would prevent that. Obviously, the military planners would decide what those are, end quote. And then Shreyas is like, subs or second strike, ICBMs are not scary to them, or Ev is very good, says they specifically want a declaration that we wouldn't do it. All that adds up to me to like, the TNW DA doesn't link, this other DA also doesn't link. I thought that the attempt in I was very into the fact that this is one of only a handful of debates this year that I've seen where questions about like what normal means of the NFU policy were brought to the fore and like made to matter, and like I loved that. I just thought that they did effectively navigate that in CX, and that if anything, I think you would have been better off reading basically TNW DA the opposite direction, for example, being like it's good. I think you needed one of two things or both. So one, a much larger investment in comparatively resolving the it will get latched onto argument your direction and winning why you're right about that. So I thought that the best kind of nuke mod like link card that y'all read was this, I don't know how you pronounce it, but like Putri or Putter or whatever, the thing that's like adoption would enable the administration to cancel other nuke mod programs. On the AF side of this, I agree with Young that there was a weird kind of conspicuous lack of normal means evidence each direction, or like evidence about the propensity, or even just analytic arguments about the propensity or lack thereof to make those kinds of cuts. It was obviously fine here. I could imagine a counterfactual version of this 2NR where it's like if they secretly were sitting on the sauce, it's like they could have read that and you might have been in trouble. So like a thing to be careful of. 2 is kind of much better. I agree with the link evidence part, but also uniqueness and associated internal link evidence about investors that kind of reverse causally connects all that stuff to the uranium component. Because I do think that from starting in CX, y'all are kind of centering that piece, but I just don't think any of these cards say that at all. You have a card about like futures fluctuating. You read a card about kind of existing capacity in the US buying a bunch of uranium. You have a card that when there are major weapons cuts, countries care about that. Like none of that has anything to do with this set of like perception linked premises. In terms of the like big impact piece of this / turns case stuff, at the point that there's like no DA, none of that stuff makes sense. Tri-dye doesn't make sense because like Kazakh soft power or whatever, inevitably fine. Yeah.
So I had 2 questions. First is, so all of you all concluded link very large, or sorry, not large, like very small, right? My question is, what do you think the 1AR says to answer the fact that like things ride, like, and broader defense cuts will happen because there's a fragile compromise? I know this was explicitly in the 2NR, but like, where was it? Like, the only warrant I caught was like one line that was like consensus on like that was it. Like,
Yeah. So when you said this in the 2NR, I bolded it and like added a bunch of stars by it and like went back and looked through both your stuff and there's and the 1AR on this issue. I think the
what
issue.
cards did they have on that issue? What cards did they have on that
Well, neither side had any cards on that issue, but they did say, on. Well, I guess it like that sort of begs the question of what you mean by that, right? But my answer to your question about like what the answer to that is all of this same stuff about what operational changes they do and don't result in. When you say quote unquote rides the plan there, what you are saying is that the administration and or Congress are going to, as part of this NFU, make this set of cuts, and they have said we are not. Here's why. They have been like starting in CX and continuing through the 2AR. They're making arguments about which operational shifts war planners would and would not make. That is responsive to rights the plan.
Wait, and then you were like other people were.
Sorry.
Like I'm asking, where in the 1AR did they say that?
Where did they say we do not result in the set of operational shifts and make our?
Not that they don't fiat it, but like.
No. Well, those are not the same thing. I agree with you that the argument isn't about fiat.
Yeah. My question is, where in the 1AR did they say it was unlikely for members of Congress to use the plan to justify further modernization? Not the question of like, what does the plan do?
No, I'm with you on the what does the plan mandate is irrelevant. I don't understand if you're parsing a distinction between what does the plan do in the sense of like what would end up being normal means for Congress and or the administration to include as part of operational changes versus rides the plan. I think that's a distinction without a difference. If you are saying that you don't think they made arguments about the former, then we can like talk about that piece. But are you understanding there to be something different between those two? And if so, what?
I mean, like, I think the way the 200 extended was like, right now, wafer disarm is low, but the plan gives them something to latch onto. And I think there was a
Right.
card, the Petrie evidence at the end.
Yeah, that's the one
That says, adoption would enable the admin to cancel a number of
Yep.
nuclear programs that are on the DEM's hatchet list.
Yeah, I just quoted that to you too. I agree that is the best card you read. What?
But how did you, like, what was their mitigation to this card?
Because their argument is that starting from CX and continuing throughout the debate, their argument is that there is not a propensity for operational changes of that scale to occur. So it's like, yes, there are some changes that would be made that are in line with this declaratory policy, specifically precluding. I know. No, we're on the same page. This is not a question of fiat. It's a question.
But our
Like-
argument is like, they latch onto it.
Right. Your argument is that a majority of Congress decides to start making major cuts to the SLBM and ICBM leg. I do not think you win that would occur.
Do we have cards that contradict that other than the process?
You don't have cards that say that would occur.
The line that I just read. to you.
Right. You have cards that people would try to latch onto this that are in the administration in order to get that set of cuts done. I do not think that rises to the threshold of like the set of cuts for sure makes sense.
Sole purpose would enable the U.S. to eliminate all but a few hundred weapons. Like, that's not definitive for you?
No, I agree that that person is asserting that is the case. I am saying I do not think you won that is the case. I do not think that that you at any point in this debate make warranted arguments about why that is what would be likely to occur. That there are major reasons why we would want to, that people are deeply invested in current modernization programs, and that the SLBM and ICBM
Many Dems hatchet lists like these things.
Yeah, I agree. There are certainly progressives that want to cut it. Both the 2AC and 1AR were explicit that that does not mean they will succeed. Like, you're acting as though they simply didn't talk about this, which is simply false. It does not say they will succeed. It says they would love to do that. No, you read a card.
Over time, sole purpose would enable the U.S. to eliminate all but a few hundred weapons.
Right. Why is that true? Why is that?
Just said,
No, what do you think the warrant is for why a majority of Congress would... Okay, my question is, your premise here is that a majority of Congress is going to make major cuts to the nuclear arsenal. What warrant do you think you have in the 2NR or in your evidence that establishes that is true? Like, what argument, like the 2NR says no words about why I should understand there to be a political propensity to do this. That there is not, and that the reasons there is not is because people are invested in current programs, that it would deviate from current strategy. I agree with you that this is by far the place where the affirmative is weakest. That's why I led this with, had the 2NR been better on this, or read a card about that or whatever, they could have been in trouble because of the fact that they didn't read cards about there being people being invested in maintaining the SWO. But it isn't that they didn't make those arguments. They just didn't read cards for them the way that they should have. I don't know if you thoughts about that.
I think I thought there was more link than Brandon, so I understand the line that you read. The way that I kind of understood the 1AR was arguing that link argument was that they're challenging the scope of sole purpose that app implements. So you're correct that I think the evidence that you're reading on that link, I think it's talking about an NFU policy that is much broader than the affirmative, in which case I think it makes sense that if you were to adopt total NFU that we would engage in further major cuts to the arsenal. But I think given the limited scope of the plan, I think that implicates the magnitude of those cuts somewhat, even if you win that there are cuts.
And the same thing is true for all of your other link cards.
Thanks, John. We're gonna have
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not to belabor it, but really briefly, a more succinct way to put this is, in that latter case, military planners cutting would make sense. In this case, there's not a rationale.